Hello, this is Gary.
Hey, Gary, it's Bill Champlin calling. What are you doing?
What's going on? It's Bill. He's back again. All right.
He's he's back again. They've been
Yeah.
trying to get rid of me for years, and they just can't do
Can't do it.
it.
I know. You
Impossibility.
might as well keep going.
Yeah, I can't do anything else anyway. So there you go. How
Hey,
you doing, man? Where are you located? I forgot.
in Alabama, South Alabama. Remember,
We love that.
home of William Lee Golden. Remember?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You know the guy. But anyway. So how's this? I know. I think I talked to you. I think it was like August or September or something like that, and
Yeah,
the pandemic, was in full
yeah.
effect, and it's still you're still locked down and all that stuff, right?
California's locked down tighter than a
Oh,
piccolo snare drum. You know what I mean?
gee, I'm thankful I live in Alabama.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. It's not
Well,
you know
I think I've been trying to get an appointment to get a vaccine,
yeah.
and it's tip. The red tape will kill you quicker than the virus.
I get whatever it takes to get rid of you. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I made an appointment,
Oh
and it
man,
turned out that the appointment was for the second shot, which I haven't had the first shot. They gave me a confirmation. Tried to cancel with that confirmation. It says we don't recognize the confirmation number. I just
oh
went, "Yep, this is California, no question about it."
they gave your shot to somebody else, and they said, "Oh, I didn't say your
Absolutely.
name." Yeah,
So, well, most of the move, I think, a friend of mine just said you got to get up at about 5 in the morning and get your appointment because there's I think virtually a long line of people waiting to get it. So there you go,
yeah. I
like
believe
that.
it. I believe it.
Yeah. Hey, I got the flu shot. How about
The
that?
flu. There you go. Hey, at least you got that.
I'm a little ahead of the game.
There you
Anyway,
go.
so
Did,
what's cool, what's the drag? I think the thing that's the biggest drag about the pandemic is that and my wife's just going, Tamara's going crazy. She said, this is horrible. There's no live music.
right. It's
There's
awful.
no live music. It's like, oh God, give me a break. That just can't be happening.
It's
And then the other thing is, the good thing is that all these musicians that would have been playing live music are doing records,
right.
myself included. I
Exactly.
probably would have been playing. Well, I wouldn't have jumped on this at the level that I did. I had nothing to do, and I had a Pro Tools rig sitting there going, okay, Bill, come on, let's go.
Right. You might as well record music. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
There'll
yeah,
be.
writing new stuff because I think everybody's been kind of caught up in the what do you call it, the tribute band thing, to where a lot of audiences are not used to hearing anything they haven't already heard.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of new music's going to happen. And I know mine's probably one of the first ones out of the box, but I think there's probably going to be as many albums in
Yeah.
2021 as there were babies born 9 months after the New York blackout.
Exactly.
Gonna, so,
It's they're gonna be they're gonna be popping out everywhere. I'm
oh,
sure.
oh,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know 5 or 6 guys that are in the process of making one, putting one out. Just got another one,
awesome.
got one in the mail from the guy who played drums on my album. Gordon Campbell sent
Oh,
me his
cool.
album. It's great. It's
Awesome.
funkier than a 3-day-old Band-Aid.
You've got all
Somebody
these lines.
Somebody said, "Man, it's so." I saw on Facebook one day, "Man, that's so funky. It move in next door, your lawn dies."
That's funky.
Wow,
That's good.
that's
I,
that right there is funky.
that is pretty funky. I need to put that on a T-shirt. But
Yeah,
you got the brand new album just released like
yeah,
a couple days ago, right?
yeah.
And
Just the 22nd. The single "Reason to Believe" was released on January 1st.
awesome.
Just a little taster, kind of a little, I guess, sort of almost a trailer for the album. It's really a good record. The song or the track was pretty much put together by Bruce Geitch, an old dear friend of
Awesome.
mine who I've worked with Bruce, and so is Tamara, my wife. We've worked with him for 30 years, maybe,
Wow.
long time, and we've he just had this track that was in his stash. He didn't cut it. He had it already recorded,
Oh, wow.
and he sent it out. And the first thing I noticed is this bass player is great. Who is this? He said George Hawkins,
Hmm.
and George has been on almost every album that I've done. And he passed away a couple of years ago, so I was
Oh,
just
wow.
almost crying. I was going, man, we can get a George song on here. It's great.
Wow.
Benny Colaiuta played drums on that track, and the minute Tamara and I heard the MP3 that he sent, and just the instrumental, we just went, oh, where's the legal pads? Where's the pencils? We're on this right now.
Yeah, right.
And we had that thing written within an hour and a half, and I was I got a hold of Bruce and send me the files. I'll load them up in Pro Tools. We're going to go to work.
Right.
And that was kind of the first thing we really got into, except for Living for Love is one I did myself. And it's kind of the bluesiest, the actual song itself rather than the album.
Yeah.
It's kind of the bluesiest thing I've ever done or that I've ever recorded that I can think about. Except maybe In the Heat of the Night.
I was fixing to say
the TV
yeah,
show.
I was going to say you can't forget In the Heat. Yeah. Hey, can you hit that line one time? Can you do that? No.
In the heat
Yeah.
of the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was great. The original by Ray Charles.
So good.
I didn't touch that because
Oh,
nobody touches Ray. It's just the way it was. But
Oh man.
Ray didn't want to do it, and Chris Page had done that track. Said, hey man, you want to come in and take a whack at it? And I did. And the guy that was the overseer of the music on the show said, I want that guy. I mean, everybody in town cut a version of it, and I think some were a little too bluesy, and some were not bluesy enough. And I was, my porridge was just right. You know what I mean?
It was perfect. I believe it.
Yeah, that's funky. It was that my lawn died the minute I heard it.
The grass quit growing instantly.
I hear you.
Yeah, every day though. I think it's like around 10 o'clock or so in the morning, I hear In the Heat, it's coming on. I'm like, yes, I got to watch this show.
Yeah, I had a manager with Chicago one time. He came up and he said, right before we went out with Earth, Wind and Fire for the first time, he says, you got any songs you could sing with Earth, Wind and Fire? And I said, how about one of the biggest hits they've ever had that I wrote or I co-wrote?
Yeah, right.
What's that? I said, After the Love Is Gone, I co-wrote it. He said, you did?
Wow.
And right then, the TV, it was backstage at a gig, the TV was on, and the beginning of In the Heat of the Night came on. He went over and turned it off, and I said, Peter, turn that back on. Anything familiar about that? He says, yeah, I see it. I watch it all the time. It's one of my favorite shows. I love Carol O'Connor. Yeah. What, do you know who's singing that? He says, I don't know. It's me, you dummy.
Yeah, come on,
that's
man.
when I realized he's not really my manager. He doesn't know any of the stuff I've done. You know what I mean?
Wow. Well, I mean, I knew instantly when I heard the song. I was like, yep, that's Bill. You could tell your style. I mean, that's Bill. So why did you, though, decide to record this album? Did you say, I just want to record something, and just have a whole album? I guess you could have done a single or something, but you did the whole
EP. There's EPs and all that kind of stuff. Well, first of all, I had a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I really think that making albums, there's an art form to making albums, even though it's kind of going back to the original rock and roll. People only want to hear one song and then they want to go on to something else.
Right.
But I think that sequencing is an art form in itself. Putting the songs in the right order, that always takes a little thinking. Putting that together. And just the whole art form. I read somewhere, it said, if it isn't personal, it isn't art.
Right.
And so I wrote some songs that were pretty deep for me, and I just kind of went, hey, I'm just putting my heart and soul into this. That's all there is to it. It's not much more that I can do. I mean, I had about a year and a half of really bad stuff. I was diagnosed with very aggressive prostate cancer and had to deal with that. Mm. The next day, my older son, Brad, passed away from esophageal cancer. Mm. So we don't like the C word in our house. No question about it. It's not happening.
Not good. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not good. But, and then I had to go through a year of all kinds of stuff. And I mean, like, it's funny when we were writing the lyrics to Reason to Believe, I realized, we were just doing, Cam and I were writing it together, but I was kind of aiming it in the direction I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And at some point in the game, I was just, typing out the final draft. And I looked at it, I went, man, this song's all about gratitude. This is really about gratitude. And I thought about it. I said, man, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Tamara. She kept me laughing during the whole time I was pretty sick. And I was so devastated by losing my son that it just gave me another viewpoint on the world, which means it gave me another viewpoint on songwriting,
right?
And how to put it together and make it really work. And I think I pulled one off,
Yeah. So these songs are, would you say most of the songs on this album are autobiographical, or?
Well, it's some level. There's always that thing where you think of a premise, you imagine a couple going through one thing or another, and you put it in a first person. That's a standard songwriting move, which I do on some of the songs. But on some of the songs, there's a song on there called Another Lie, which is really all about my relationship with my older son before he passed, which
Right.
was, I mean, I was hanging with him for 2 years,
Wow.
going to his, his chemo appointments and radiation and all the other stuff while he was dealing with what he was dealing with. And we kind of became a lot better friends than we had been before that.
Right.
And so, I mean, I just realized at some point of the game that when your viewpoints change, your whole art, everything about what you do suddenly has a different thing to it. And I kind of got in that place with a good handful of the lyrics on the record that I did.
Awesome.
And then there's just some stuff that's just funky. I mean, believe me, it's not a maudlin record. I mean, it's not just ballads of
Yeah.
that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, the song I wrote about Brad, basically, I realized that people that are writing about someone in their family that passed away usually turned their life into angelic. They made them angels. Well,
Yes.
I tried to write that song without doing that because I think that's kind of stupid. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Guys, who he is, and so on. So I kind of did it that way. I tried my best to try to get that across. It took 2 years to write that tune. That one was pulling teeth with screwdrivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at some level, and then there's other tunes on the record. I was really lucky to get Greg Matheson to get involved, and he and I co-wrote 3 things on the record. And Greg's, I mean, I think we might have written the last tune that Al Jarreau got on the charts, a song called "Just to Be Loved." So Greg and I have been working together, and we've been partners for God knows how many years. And he's had his medical issues, as have I. And we just got into it because hell, there's nothing else to do. We got to get musical.
Yeah.
And then I had guest artists, guest people come in, guest soloists and stuff like that to come in. And I think I ended up just luckily putting together a really cool team that really made a good record, helped me make a great record.
Well, you got Jason Sheff on this album, right?
Oh yeah, no question about it. Yeah, well, we were writing something. Yeah, we were writing something together for another project, and then when I was decided to do the album, I called him. I said, "You mind if I just flesh this thing?" It was just a demo, kind of. You mind if I flesh this out and put it on the album? He said, "Yeah, go for it." So I brought him back in to sing a couple more fills, and we just made it really nice. It's a song called "Show Me." It's really kind of a cool piece.
It's got that Chicago sound, which I guess for
bit,
obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jason and I, at some point of the game with Chicago, kind of took over the ensemble vocal stuff. I mean, even from 18 on, it was like actually most of the vocals on Chicago 18 was a David Foster production. Was me, Jason, and we actually had Tom Keene helping us out on some of that. And that was, I think, back when we were doing tape, so we had to be a little bit careful about tracks.
Yeah.
Oops, we're running out of tracks.
Right. I can imagine that got rough, though. Yeah, when you mess up.
Well, I mean, you got a really good engineer, Humberto Katika, engineered those records, and he's very, very strong and positive about do what you want. I'll make the space for you. By bouncing stuff to tracks and stuff like that, and so we really had a good time with that, and then kind of from then on in, it was, well, we need to do this.
Yeah, you think you'll be working with him again in the near future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jason and me and Tommy Thayer from Kiss have got a project.
Oh, cool.
We're working on. We got to kind of wait for Tommy to finish up the Kiss tour,
right?
Which was, I mean, they were on their kind of a 3-year farewell tour when they had to shut it down, like everybody did because of the virus. Right. So I think they're winding it up to get it back in again. Because I think this vaccine, it's taken a while for everybody to get it, but I think at some point of the game, I think it's going to hopefully shut down all the crap that we've had to go through with this virus.
Hopefully, yeah, I hope so. Yes.
I was thinking, hey, I'll sing through the mask. Think of the money I'll save on Dolby.
That's right, exactly. You might have something there, yeah. They might.
Yeah, have to... I mean, everybody can sound like Kenny on South Park.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you sound like. You can hum the song. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it comes down. There's no treble on your vocal. Well,
right.
I don't.
Perfect.
Let's not go into it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Here you.
What was like when you're doing an album like this one? What's your expectation of the album? I mean, what defines success? Like when you complete an album?
It's really weird. everybody's going through all the businesses in the United States are going through what they're going through right now. The music business has been going through that for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And we've had all kinds of problems with it. There's just been, one thing or another is just kicking writers and performers in the ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that are already there, Doobie Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago, those kind of people kind of have a lock on the really good gigs and stuff like that, which is fine. They deserve it. They work for it for years and years.
Right.
It's kind of hard for anybody to see a new artist, at least to them, a new artist that isn't already there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I got a little bit of visibility in the United States because of who I am. I know Donna Summer one time said, "Bill, you're the best known unknown singer in the world." Thanks, Donna, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I don't know I don't know how to take that. That's right. But no, I think people know who you are. I mean, like I said, you hear your voice and it's like, boom, there he is.
Yeah, some do. I think a lot of people know the voice and they're not sure who it is.
Yeah.
And what's cool is Imagine Records, which is they're doing the digital release of the record.
Mm-hmm.
They put a publicist on this, Shauna O'Donnell, you know her.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's on fire. She's just insane great. I mean, what a sweetie pie. She's just got me, I mean, we're doing everything we can to bring some visibility to this project. I've done solo albums, but I've always been that kind of guy that said, well, I'm done recording it. I'm going to throw it at the wall and see what happens. And rarely does it stick.
Right.
Japan might sell a few, I'll sell a couple here and there. I'll kind of keep my legacy of not a lot of sales, but people enjoy it. So, I mean, in some ways, I don't look at success as being the size of your bank account. I don't think that's what success is when you're talking about art.
Yeah.
I think, and mine, it's a craft until it becomes art. You're responsible for the craft, and just something else is responsible for art. If you perform your craft and you work on it, you have a better chance of art happening to you.
That's right.
So, and that's kind of the way I look at it. And I think there was a lot of that happening on this record. There was just a lot of moments. I also kind of wanted to avoid being the craftsman background vocal guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I kind of refused, didn't allow myself to sing lead vocals on the same days I did background vocals.
Okay.
Just because there's two different hats,
Right.
One's kind of a mathematical thing and another's kind of a poetic thing. So, I kind of took myself out of the session guy mode into the artist mode. And that's kind of more where this album is at.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's kind of a different move for me. I've done a lot of albums, but they've all been really good craft, and there's an occasional really great song that comes flying out at you. But for the most part, this one I think's got a lot of them on the same record. It's pretty good. It's a pretty cool record. There's it goes a lot of great places. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've been listening to it, and
cool.
I'm impressed. And you've been doing a lot of interviews, promoting. I've been noticing, and I was thinking you're everywhere. You're like Bernie Sanders. You're showing up.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm just kidding. But you're showing up everywhere.
Popular, I'll tell you that. Bernie seems to be about as popular as Mick Jagger these days.
Yeah, right.
He's kicking like a mule at some level,
I don't know. I guess that's it's according to how you look at it. The coronavirus is popular, I guess, in some areas. But no, I'm just kidding. But
so, not really.
Yeah, in a different way. It's famous, but
well, I mean, it's kind of been it's some level for the last year. It's really kind of driving. It's a left turn in some ways. Just what we're used to doing and how we're used to doing it.
Exactly. It's not the
very
norm.
little of that's going on. And another thing I was realizing, I was actually talking to somebody, and I was realizing that you got 6 feet. People aren't touching each other.
Yeah.
And people got to where they took that for granted. A hug, handshake, a fist bump, even. None of that's going on.
No.
I think the only thing that crosses that 6 feet is music.
That's it. No, that's a good. That's a perfect example of That's good.
So
stuff.
and if you've got music that's got a certain level of touch involved in it, whether it be in the music, in the lyrics, in the vocal performance, it's going to go across that 6 feet, and someone's going to feel something.
That's right.
It's kind of hard to feel much when there's no touching allowed. It's crazy. It's a
That's
crazy time.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, you sing and play like you play guitar and keys on the album, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it helps out with your creativity. It helps you get to do all kinds of things in that area, right?
Yeah. I play most of the rhythm. I mean, there's three other solo guitar solos on the record. Tal Morris played a great one on a song called Hey. He tore it up. Gary Falcone played really cool solo. One of my favorite solos of his on Love Has No Heart, and Carmen Grillo who plays with the Suns, which is really kind of cool.
Okay.
Carmen played a solo on Too Good for Too Long, and all three of them are monster solos. They're great. And I got Mark Russo to stack some horns on a song called Especially Me, so it's a horn section kind of thing.
That's great.
You know, one bari, two tenors, two altos.
Awesome.
And with one of Greg's charts, and then he played some solo stuff on a song called The Truth Has Begun. And I just gave him the whole tag on that song because, oh my God, what an insane player he is. He plays with the Doobie Brothers normally.
Awesome.
But, he played with the Suns for just a short period of time, and I called him and asked him if he'd do it. He said, send me the files. I'll load them up and knock them off at the house.
Wow. This album, it goes everywhere as far as, I think it's bluesy. I said, here, I'll throw some adjectives. Bluesy and funky, jazzy, poppy, and rocky is what I was. It's kind of everything, right? Everybody should be happy with this album, right?
My kid, Will, who's a monstrous musician who plays circles around me, he mentioned a couple of years ago, he says, if I was going to put your music into a category, I'd call it Steely Swamp. I said, well, that's kind of cool.
I like that.
Real swampy, but there's just a teeny bit of chord changes that you normally don't hear in a lot of, especially a lot of blues.
Yeah.
I started off as a blues singer, and the first blues I ever recorded was in the heat of the night for the TV show. Somehow I started off as a blues singer, but my hands started to follow some other stuff, and then I started hanging out with guys like David Foster and Jay Graydon and stuff, and so much for three chords and the truth.
Right. You went
I'll tell the
way.
truth, but I can't do it in three chords.
Sometimes it takes a lot of chords to tell the truth.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody, I think Al, this country writer, forget his last name. Al is his first name. He was just saying, Bill knows all the chords. He was kind of giving me shit. And basically, he turned around and played a song that had every chord in the book on it.
Wow.
Said, hey, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
What's that? He said, well, I want to let you know I knew where you were going.
Yeah, right.
Well,
he was
talented guy.
He was probably showing off his ability there, the chords.
Yeah, I hear you.
And the album, I was noticing, I know this is a positive album, and I know, like you said, what you've been through and you're coming across is just, it's almost like you're teaching people how to be positive in this song, in these songs, in this album. And the album cover is like the sun shining through the clouds, and there's seagulls, I think, and a piano. How did that album cover come to be?
That's a painting by an artist named Vladimir Kush.
Okay.
And I've known about him for 15 years. I ran into actually Ruby Mazer, who's the artist that did the Rolling Stones logo, the lips and the tongue thing.
Yeah.
That we've been seeing from the Stones forever.
Yeah, right.
Ruby drew that. He's the guy that painted that.
Oh wow!
But he said you got to check out this artist, and we went. We were in Lahaina in Maui just on a vacation, and we walked down the street and we walked into this gallery, and it was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing.
Wow.
So Tamara and I, at the time I was still with Chicago. It was all happening there. A little more cush gig, So we bought a piece, and he signed it for us in the whole 9 yards. And then right before, while we were coming up to the end of the music on this record, thinking about what we were going to do for a cover, we happened to be in Las Vegas, and we walked by the Kush Gallery in Las Vegas. And Tamara said, oh my God, I hadn't seen this one. Look at that. And I could see the painting through the window.
Wow.
And we were just, oh my God. But the guy who had the gallery was closed, but he let us in to look at it. And we just went, oh my God, how do we license this for an album cover? So Tamara got to work, and she got it licensed from Vladimir Kush himself for the album cover.
Wow. That's
Very, very cool.
awesome.
He's an amazing artist. I mean, you could just Google him and check stuff out.
Yeah,
Vladimir Kush,
have to do.
Kush. He's
I need to
ridiculous. I
look
mean,
that up. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
he's yeah, that guy's as good as it gets. I'm gonna love it. You can see some Dolly in his work. You can see little, you see where his influences are, just like you can hear where mine are. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I
But
love it.
he's really taken it and made it his own. He's doing sculpture. He's doing all kinds of craziness. He's just one of the most artistic people I've ever run across. I've never met him,
Oh,
but we've talked to him a couple times. Reminds me, I got to send him an album, or he's going to be all pissed off at me.
you better do that. Yeah, he helped you a little
Yeah,
bit. You might need to
yeah, I'd
help him.
say so. Yeah, I think it's a gorgeous cover. Now that cover, when we go to, we're eventually going to do it when we go to vinyl.
Hmm.
Think of it, on
Oh
a
yeah,
foot by foot, a larger
yes,
package. That thing's going to just
it's
jump
gonna
out
be
at you.
great.
It's beautiful.
Oh wow.
Hey, we went ahead. Couldn't really afford it, but we went ahead and bought the painting anyway. I've got it in my living room.
You might as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um
Well, I kind of get to the point where, I mean, visual art is not my scene. I might as well be Ray Charles when it comes to visual art. I just can't draw anything.
mhm.
But when I see something that really just affects me, I just went, that guy did what Lou Rawls did to me when I was a kid. That guy just touched me, affected
Exactly.
me
There
by
you
what he
go.
did. And that's the move. That
That's
really
it.
is the move,
That's
And whether it's
that's awesome.
visual art or rap for that matter, it's an art form. Not particularly mine, but all of, there's so many different art forms. And I think a lot of people now, I think it's getting to where new music is the door is kind of opening up to new music in a way, thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah. There's good side of everything, and and that goes again with the art. Touching people, you can visualize art. You can see it from afar, and not have to see it. Be up close to it, just like music.
Right.
And that's cool. Um,
Yeah.
and on this album, you're quoted. I think you said music is the perfect path to love. Why do you say that?
That's a line from one of my songs
And
on the record.
so why do you
And
think that?
it's a song called a Stevie song.
Okay.
It's a song I wrote that song. I needed something kind of down without drums and bass, and something down a little back. By the way, I got Steve Porcaro to work on
Oh
that
wow,
song with me.
that's great.
And Steve's just an amazingly great synth guy. I mean, he wrote Human Nature for Michael Jackson. Give me a break.
That's not too shabby there.
Well, I dig how beautiful all the keyboard work is on that,
Hmm.
and he added that to this song really beautifully. And but there was a line in there. I mean, I kind of wrote the song about. I was watching cities burning down all over the place,
Yeah.
and watching people out on the streets yelling at the top of their lungs.
Right.
And I kind of went, "What happened to?" Well, first of all, Martin Luther King,
Right. Yeah.
nonviolence. Second of all, why is everybody yelling all the time?
Right.
You get noticed more if you bring back the volume a little bit. And I realized, what happened to the era of Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" or any Stevie Wonder song from almost any time, and that song just kind of came out of it. And one of the lines from the song is "Music is a perfect path to love," and I really, that was one of the moments where I was writing the song, trying to say what I wanted to say, and that line came flying out of nowhere, and I went, "There's another perfect example of art happening to you rather
Yes.
than you happening to it." So, and because I think it's a great line. It's one of the best lines I've ever
Yeah,
written.
I agree. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't want to call the album that. It just seemed a little, hey, dig me. I don't dig that too much.
Right.
I
Right.
think "Living for Love" is a really good thing. As long as people realize it's not a bunch of love songs. It's not, hey, love songs of the 80s and 90s. That's not what's going on. Like
Well,
I say, it's Steely Swamp with a little AC/DC thrown in just for kicks.
well, there are fans, that are listening that say this guy was in Chicago. It's like listening to all the hits, the Chicago, and most of them are ballads, and that's not on this. A lot of people I think expect certain things. I think they'll be surprised in a good way how cool the songs are. I think people,
Yeah.
new fans will be like, man, this guy, he can do anything. It's good stuff.
Well, I play a lot of instruments. I do a lot of stuff. We just did a project with my wife and my friend Gary Falcone a couple of years ago
Hmm.
called Wonderground, Bill Champlin and Wonderground. It didn't really catch air. People didn't really get it quite that much. Really good record. A little leaning harder toward rock because Gary's such a, he's a rock guitar player, butt kicker, great singer also, and songwriter. So we did that, and I kind of really got my production chops. I was working on that a lot, and it kind of showed me what I needed to do. And then when I was just sitting there writing a tune just for no reason at all, just with a guitar, kind of a bluesy thing, and I had like a verse and a chorus. And Tamara came home. I think she was at the store. She was over visiting somebody. She came home, and I said, "What do you think of this?" And I played it for her. She said, first thing she said was, "Bill, you're ready for a solo album. It's been too long. You've got to get going. Get to work." This shows that it had nothing to do with what Wonderground did. It was like, it's like when she heard that, she said, "Wow, I think you're an artist now. So let's do that."
Right. That's right.
So it was really cool. She's really got a good eyeball on a lot of things. She's about as good a co-writer as anybody I can even imagine. And then when I need the high notes, she's a great singer. Awesome. Plus the fact she's probably one of the most beautiful women on the earth. So
well, that helps too. Yeah.
On that level, I'm pretty lucky. I mean, we've been married for almost don't want to say it, but 39 years.
Wow.
So we've been working together a long time, and we know what we're doing.
Hey, there you go. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's a rare marriage in Los Angeles.
Yeah, right.
Hey, when we got married, they gave us 3 weeks. They'll make it for 3 weeks.
You're doing better than 99.9% of everybody, I think, in Los Angeles.
Well, we're hoping for it. I just saw somebody had 33 years. They're very, very happy about it.
Hey, that's
good. We're cruising right along. Everything's cool. I think the next thing we're probably going to do is get an album for Tamara going.
Hey, there you go.
We got 5 or 6 things that are looking really good. We got to flesh them out and produce them and bring them home, put real drums on them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the songs themselves are starting to grab us. So even though I'm kind of laying this down as a solo artist, that doesn't mean that's all I'm going to do. Like I've got this project with Jason and Tommy Thayer.
Right.
That as soon as Tommy's off the road, we're going to jump right into this. It's the songs are smoking.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And there's a song on the album. I know we were talking about, they're like autobiographical. I guess some of them are a lot of fun songs on there. It sounds like, and
yeah.
But the song "My Time," what's that song about? That song kind of got me.
After being sick as much as I was for as long as I was, I just realized I'm kind of at the age where one of these things may very easily take me out. I don't know when. I can't tell you when, but I went, now's the time to say thank you. Hard to say thank you from the grave. You know what I mean?
True.
Once you're, so I kind of did a Tamara. I didn't even want to hear it. So I don't want to listen to that song. It's great. It's beautiful. I don't want to hear it.
Well,
not what she wanted to hear,
yeah.
but I really kind of thought at some point in the game, I've been, I had cancer. We seem to get on top of it. Apparently, I may still have it, but I take all these pills to keep it starved and dormant,
Right.
And I think that's what it is. My oncologist says, I never tell anybody they're cancer-free. I tell them I'm buying you more years.
There you go.
Which it's an honest thing. He didn't want to have to backtrack, Hey, you told me I was cancer-free and I relapsed. He said, you didn't want to. He said, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, you lied to me. Well, that helps your perspective, like you said earlier, about life. When you know what you've been through, it makes you appreciate things. And I think that's how you connect with fans that have been through a lot of stuff. That I guarantee 100% of everybody listening has been through a rough year, right? Oh, so, I mean, and that's...
You kidding me? This is, this is biblical.
It is biblical.
The crap that's been going on. The amount of lies that are being told by everybody.
It's
not
awful.
Just the left and not just the
both.
right.
It's both.
I was talking to somebody. I said, I miss the days when Walter Cronkite would tell you the news. In other words, here's the news. Dog bites man. Now you have Democrat dog bites Republican man. Or Democrat man bites Republican
That's
dog.
Right. From their perspective.
I don't want to hear any of it. I think what we're missing at this point of the game is that we're all in this together.
Right.
We're put on the earth to love each other, and that's really what it is. I hate to sound like a hippie from San Francisco, I am a hippie from San Francisco, but
There you
it's
go.
been a long time, you know. Not San Francisco, Marin County. I won't even go into San Francisco anymore. The most beautiful city in the world has just been
Yeah,
screwed over in so
I've,
many ways. It's like,
I've
oh
heard.
God.
Yeah. Your dog agrees.
That's Rocky. He's my
Rocky.
co-producer, by the way. Rocky co-produces
All right.
all the music that I do.
Hey.
Half of my vocals,
All
I
right.
got this Papillon sitting on my lap. Maybe that's why his hearing's bad, because I'm a loud singer.
Hey, that's nothing wrong with that. You know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Um. And let's see. You were talking about your wife earlier, though, helping you out. I know she's helped you for many years musically too, right? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, it's people go, oh man, yeah, right. What? It's John and Yoko or something like that. That's
Yeah,
bullshit.
no.
Tamara's probably one of the best singers, one of the best writers, and just one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. I can't say enough about her. She's great. She just when I need something, when I need to, you know, every once in a while I'll say, is this real, or am I just going off on some bad tangent somewhere? And she said, no, this is real.
Right.
The song that I wrote for my older son who passed away, I was having trouble getting it, you know, getting something started. I had like a versy thing going, and it was just like pulling teeth, you know. It just got harder and harder. And I said, you know, I miss him terribly, you know, really bad. And you know, when he was alive, he was doing drugs and as drug users would do, lying a lot, you know. And I just said to Tamara, I said, man, I'd give anything to hear just another lie. And she looked at me and she said, there's your song.
Wow.
So, I mean, a lot of times I'll be just sitting at the piano jamming around, and she hears something I'm playing that I'm sitting on once or twice. She gets the telephone out and gets it on tape real soon, because I'll forget it.
Wow.
I'm a founding member of CRS, which is can't remember shit.
You loved it so much you bought the company. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. Hey, I'm not a doctor, but I played one.
I
on
played one.
television.
I stayed at I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. I don't have any idea about what that is, but I did.
Exactly.
What
was that the big six motels that?
Yeah.
Hey, we got a phone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I hope you got a bathroom.
Yeah, right. You better have more than that there, Bubba.
A bed and a bathroom.
Yeah.
A little more than a phone.
Yeah, I'm not paying more than $10 if you don't.
Big six. I think it's six. I think it's about 60 now, and even that's pretty low.
Yeah, right. For 60, the rat comes free. You know, the fleas.
Somebody said, man, it's amazing how time flies when you're burning out.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. So it's just part of my vocabulary. You know, funny how time flies when you're burning out.
Burning out. Well,
I just love it. Any of the VH1 behind the music.
Oh man,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Band got together, had a ball, loved each other, wrote some songs. One of them became a hit.
Right.
Got on the road. Sooner or later, somebody got into drugs. Then they all did.
And
that's the first half hour. And the last half hour is they're trying to get back now.
That's it. After all these years, then things started turning for the worse. You know. And then
you mean your band didn't do drugs? Well, we can't do a documentary on them. Not that way.
Yeah, right. That's rough.
It's nutty.
Well, whenever you're doing an album, though, before you start, do you like have this imagery in your mind? You think this is how I want to do it, or does it kind of happen? You know.
A lot of stuff happens. I mean, there are 2 or 3 songs that were already recorded that we were thinking about doing for Wonderground, and I went, you know, this will fit. This is better for my album. But you know, I'm doing most of the performance on it. I'm playing guitar on most of it. And I talked to Gary and Tamara, and they said, "Fine, let's go for it." And they're both very happy how this thing all worked out. So I had a little bit of a bet. I think the best way to do a record is to not write the whole thing, but to go in and have 2 or 3 things that kind of are the foundation of the record. You got something you like, and then start writing. And that's always the way I've written. I mean, I was doing a solo album with David Foster when I first came to LA, and while we were doing it, we ended up writing "After the Love Is Gone."
Wow.
and at the time, David was working actually as a piano player on a session for Maurice White, the leader of Earth, Wind and Fire, and he just happened to be playing it on the piano while they were running the tape back or something. And Maurice just went, ho ho ho! Everybody out of the pool! What the hell is that? David had a cassette and played him. How about that cassette? And played him just a rough of a demo that we had done of it. And Maurice just said, if Bill will agree to not release it on his record, we'll put it on ours. And the rest is kind of history.
Awesome.
So, that was written while we were in the process of doing the record. Chicago 16, we were doing, we were cutting a lot of different things that had been written. And right at the end, they wrote Hard to Say I'm Sorry.
Right. Wow.
David and Peter wrote most of the song, and then it kind of segued into this groove, this thing that Robert Lama had put together. I guess they called it Getaway. So it was really, really, it was just sometimes the best stuff happens once you're getting going.
Yeah.
You say, hey, I got 4 songs. I need a shuffle, and I need it bad, or I need a ballad. And that's what happened in this record with Stevie's song. I was watching TV, and I went, I got to write about this, but I really do need something a little bit jazzy, because I'm anything but a jazz musician,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of jazz stuff.
I like it.
But I kind of hunt and peck, you know what I mean? I don't know. I know it might be a flatted 13th or something. All I know is what it sounds
That's
like.
right.
And, I wish when I was a kid, I was reading music great, and I kind of stopped doing it. I wish I'd have kept going. I probably would have been a little better at it, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, no, I play by ear myself. I don't know how to read music, so
yeah.
Well, speaking of those days though in Chicago, do you ever look back on those times, like you just said? Do you have regret? Do you wish you could have done something more while you were with Chicago?
Well, I kind of wasn't allowed to.
You weren't allowed to, yeah.
Not really.
You
Chicago
had a limit.
Was really about the original guys. They know it. I think the audience kind of knows it.
Yeah.
And that's what the audience is coming to hear. I mean, now there's not a lot of original guys left at this point, so I'm not sure exactly what that. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means to the audience. I haven't. We didn't part ways in a friendly sort of way. It was a little shaky, but hey, that happens all the time, and it's no big thing.
Sure does.
I think they did me the biggest favor in my life. I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
I just, there was a thing to, let's get everything to sound like it sounded the day we recorded it. In other words, let's become our own tribute band.
Right.
And I was kind of going, what I liked about them right from the beginning when I first heard them was there was this sort of dedication to excellence. And at this point in the game, there's dedication to Xerox.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find that with a lot of bands. I mean, you're kind of a prisoner of your own success at some level. You have to play certain songs over and over again. Their catalog is great. They've had great music over the years. There's talented guys in there. And all of that's fine and dandy. But I think at some point of the game, when you make your decisions in a boardroom instead of a pizza parlor, you're kind of missing what.
Yeah.
If you want to find out what made those first songs happen, don't just listen to the music. Try to find out what you felt like at the time.
Right.
It's kind of hard to have an old beat up, 59 Pontiac you're driving that's got a, Bondo on the back fender when you wrote the record. And then, you're not going to feel that way when you're packing a Rolls Royce.
That's
it's just
exactly
simple as that.
That's right. I think, though, I was listening, I was just some other interviews and things like that, but I was thinking about, I think Chicago really, they didn't like having hit songs like the poppy stuff. They wanted to stick to that traditional, the horns, and they felt left out. It always looks like they felt left out in these videos. Like when you're singing, I was watching, I think it was Chasing the Wind or something, and I think they're like walking around in the background, like, what do I do? There's no horns, or in some of these, I think they're happy with the horns and the bigger horn sound.
I mean, their original thing is really what they wanted to really kind of return to that, and they got a right to. It's their ball, so it's their rules. So that's how it goes. It always rankled me the way we were, performing, what I was being asked to do. At some point in the game was making me really crazy. You got to sound like somebody else, and this guy's got to sound like somebody else, but I got to sound like me.
Yeah.
It's I don't. I don't do impressions. I never was. I mean, I did a thing for a TV show one time. It was a I think it was called More Than Friends. It was Penny Marshall and Rob Reiner, and Rob was the director of the show. And in the middle of it, they had a baseball game, like a softball game, you know.
Yeah.
And while Penny was spilling an ice cream cone all over herself in the stands, it was funny. But I was singing Jerry Lee Lewis, "Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire."
Wow.
And I was kind of singing it as much as I could, like Jerry Lee Lewis. And I had Rob kind of directing me. You got to kiss me, baby, and all that kind of stuff. And I tried it, and he just said, hell with it, Bill. You sound great. Just sing it the way you sing it.
Right.
It was like kind of a cool move in a lot of ways. But I'm just not the guy. There's a lot of guys that do that. That can do that really well. They can sound like anybody else.
Right.
And I know there's singers in Los Angeles they've got a bandolier of every voice in the world. What would you like me to load in the gun? You know what I mean?
Right.
One of the guys that's really a great singer, great musician is Philip Ingram. He's insanely great. He's wonderful. He can do any voice anywhere.
Wow.
His brother James could only do James, but my God, was it great.
But that was good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. Man, it turned him into a giant star. I mean, and one of the finest singers on the earth. He passed away a couple of years ago.
He did.
And we all miss him a lot. He's a really sweet guy. Mm. And Phil is just wonderful. He works a lot of dates. He's been in the behind the scenes a lot over the years, but he has, which voice would you like? And he just throw it out there. I mean, that in itself is an amazing talent. I don't have it. I'm just the guy that sounds like I sound.
But
it's simple as that.
You sound awesome, though. Well, when you were in Chicago, that you said they wanted you to sound a certain way or do a certain, but you have that unique style.
Sing it like Terry Kath or Donnie Dacus or whatever, And I tried, and I'm just not good at it. That's not what I do.
But you sound like you. I was listening, like I said, to your album, and it's you sound like you always have. I don't think you've changed a bit. In all these years, it still sounds great.
I've been doing this a long time. I've been singing a long time. I started off wanting to be a blues singer. I was digging Jimmy Reed, all that kind of stuff. Somebody turned me on to Lou Rawls, and he was my first singing teacher, really. He didn't know it, but his first two albums, Black and Blue and Tobacco Road, I come home from high school and just put them on the stereo. Drove my mom crazy. This is mono time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just play it over and over again just to see how he backphrased a lot of stuff really cool. And I learned a lot about it. We became pretty good friends later on. I actually worked on one of his records. I was going, how's this for a full circle? You know what I mean?
Wow.
A good guy. We've had some fun times together. He passed away, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, kind of right after Ray Charles or right before Ray Charles, maybe. It's like, well, we just lost two monsters,
He was born. He was born on December 1st, by the way. He's on my birthday.
When I was starting off, people said, "Well, the Sons put out our first album, "Loosen Up Naturally," in '68. I want to say '69, something like that. I don't even remember. And we had one review guy says, "It sounds like Lou Rawls got a rock band."
Hey, perfect.
And that got my attention. I went, "Whoops."
That's perfect.
Yeah, and they got it. They nailed it. They figured out, this guy's got, he copped some definite licks,
Yeah.
And which is fine. But I met a sax player one time that said to me, he says, if you hear something you like, steal it. Just don't steal from the same guy.
There you go.
He says, if you hear Willie Nelson do something that you like, steal it. Put it in your repertoire. If you hear D'Angelo do something you like, if you can, steal it. I can't all of it, but man, that guy did some insanely great stuff, and still on the one of the best musicians going out there.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, because if you steal from the same guy after a while, people will start nailing you.
They're going to say,
happening
"Hey,
steal from so many people you forget where you stole it from."
That's it.
And the next thing you know, you've put together your own style, and that's kind of what happened with me. I think. I love Donny Hathaway. I couldn't sing like him, but I could cop a lick or two here and there. Same with Ray Charles. Same with Lou. Same with a lot of singers that I really paid attention to. Stevie Wonder, oh my God, he's
Yeah.
one of the best singers on the earth, still, and one of the best musicians on the earth.
Yes.
He's one of those guys that no matter how big he got, he just kept learning. He's like a sponge. I mean, his piano playing is at the top of the charts at this point in the game. He's bad to the bone.
I could tell the influences of him on this album. I could hear
Oh yeah.
some of that in
Oh,
there, and Elton
yeah,
John too.
I'm a giant Stevie fan.
He's great.
You know.
He's great.
Yeah.
And did you know that I think it's this week marks 30 years, I think, that Chicago 21, by the way. I was just thinking about Chicago 21. 30 years ago, this week. You're talking about time flying. Time is flying.
Once again, time flies when you're burning out.
You were burning, man. No.
You see what I mean? Yeah, I don't think that album was mixed all that great, but I think
that's
there were
what
good songs on that record.
I was reading about that. I think somebody, the guy mixing it, said he wanted to do it differently, and they didn't let him, and he got mad or something. But
it was probably, I think it was Ron Nevison.
Yeah, I think that's who.
That record. Yeah, and Ron's a sweetie pie, man. He was the guy that when they decided to do Diane's song "Look Away," they said, "Well, we just got to get it up into the tenor's key," and he said, "No. We're going to take it down to this guy's key." He pointed at me and said, "I want this guy to sing it." Now, what they didn't know, and what he didn't tell them, management and band and everything, is that he had heard my voice before somewhere. I think he was actually a front of house engineer for Jefferson Airplane at one time, years before, and I think we played a gig with him, and he just went, "Whoa, this guy can sing. There's something going on here. I like his pipes." So Ron kind of very casually put me on "Look Away." It turned out to be one of the biggest records Chicago ever had.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the first real power ballads that Diane wrote. Man, Diane Warren writes.
She could write anything.
Great.
Yeah,
she's
great.
She's a great songwriter. I mean, she wrote something that Ringo Starr has out right now, and I can't tell you the title of it. I listened to it one time, and I went, "Man, these lyrics are so great. It's just ridiculous."
It's crazy. I know it.
Yeah, and got good people on it. Look for that one. I'm gonna try to find it.
I'm gonna look it up. And when that album came out, I know the 21 wasn't as big as the other albums, but during that time, though, you were talking about how music helps you, but both of my granddads died on the same day in 1991, right when that album was released. It was released in January. Yeah, and it was one of the roughest times ever, but I bought that Chicago 21, and it really helped me out. So I'd like to thank you for that, really, but Chasing the Wind, I know it's about like love, but it took my mind off of what I was dealing with and turned it to music. So I appreciate that.
That's great. It's once again another Diane song, and like I say, a lot of other writers in L.A. when she really started to fly, a lot of people were kind of giving her all kinds of crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man, she just writes the same thing over and over again. I mean, people said it about Linda Creed when she was working in Philadelphia. But there's one thing about both those writers, Linda and Diane. Linda's been gone for a long time, but Linda Creed wrote "The Greatest Love of All," which when she found out she had terminal cancer.
Wow.
And how about that for Deep? That's just insane. I mean, George Benson did a version. Whitney did a version. There's a handful of people that cut that. And it's just, it's one of those things. It's just, wow. Talk about touching you, And Diane, when she writes a song, it's just, there's something about, she gets it into words and doesn't push the music too far.
Right.
A little bit. She'll break a rule here and there occasionally, just a little one. But lyrics are so passionate that it's just, I mean, look at "Unbreak My Heart" by Toni Braxton.
Exactly.
Oh God, I mean, it's just such a, she's just one of those people that always writes really great songs.
She sure does.
I mean, even though stuff was going on at the time and people were kind of bad mouthing her around town, I always thought she was a sweetie pie. She's a good friend.
Awesome.
I don't hang with her a lot, but I mean, when we do get together, we always have a ball. So she's a sweetie pie.
Awesome. And your lead-off single, "That Reason to Believe," it's kind of got that dramatic sound in there. You know what I'm saying? It's got different than the others. When you say it's got a powerful, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's a little different thing. Vinny Colaiuta was playing drums on it.
Awesome.
George Hawkins was playing bass. Bruce Geitz was playing guitar and keyboard, and I played organ on it. B3 will add a little stuff to any record, But I think what really makes that one talk is that me and Tamara did all the backgrounds all the vocals on it, and I got a pretty good lead vocal off on that record.
That's
Toward the end of it,
great.
I throw off a few licks that are like, "Whoa, that's powerful. What's going on?" You
You,
know.
what, your voice, though, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to describe it, though, but it sounds like it was made for these songs. I mean, it's like somebody took your voice and said, "This is perfect," and I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it, but it's just, I've always been a fan, and yeah, man, you got some good stuff going. And well, tell me how fans can get this album.
Well, there's two ways. One is downloads in all of the download spots: iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify, everywhere. All of that stuff's going on. Some people still like CDs, so we're selling. Imagine Records were really cool. They were kind of not that interested in doing physical copies.
Yeah.
So I said, "Do you mind if I do them?" And he said, "Yeah." So, yeah, cool. So, BillChamplin.com/shop, and we got a really good album cover, really decent album, and just go to BillChamplin.com. It'll show you where to go and how to get CDs. I'll be stuffing the envelope. Me and Tamara are stuffing envelopes almost every day now.
Yeah, well, I think you said this in another interview somewhere, but about you actually like to have a CD in your hand.
Yeah.
I think you said something about Alice Cooper said,
Yeah.
it's better than air or something.
Yeah.
I'm buying air.
He said, I ain't into buying air.
I like that. At least you get a copy. You get a copy of the CD when you pay. So you might as well get it. Well, I appreciate you talking to me again. And I want to.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, it's always good hanging with you.
Yeah, man.
And mucho love to Alabama. You guys it's always fun down there. I don't go there that often. With Chicago, we play there pretty regular, but I don't really go anywhere at this point in the game. California's got us locked down.
Yeah.
Hey, we drove to Houston, Texas from here to spend Christmas at my sister-in-law's house with her family.
That's a pretty good drive.
That's a butt-kicking drive, let me tell you. Anyway, listen, I gotta make this other thing here in like 2 minutes.
All right, man.
So,
I'll be talking to you, man. I hope to have to do it again one day. I'm hoping much success on this album.
Gary, thank you, man. You're awesome. Always, it's always cool to talk with you.
All right, man. Take care.
Great. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Be good.